अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स। एक्सफोर्ड मॉडर्न इंग्लिश बुक 6। आज हम इसका चैप्टर नंबर 1 निकोबोबिनस इसकी आज हम रीडिंग करेंगे। और चैप्टर लॉन्ग है इसलिए इसको 2 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया गया है। फर्स्ट चैप्टर 1 चैप्टर 2 के नाम से। तो आइए इसकी रीडिंग स्टार्ट करते हैं। This is the story of the most extraordinary child who ever stuck his tongue out at the Prime Minister. His name was Nicobobinus. He lived a long time ago in a city called Venus, and he could do anything. Of course, not everybody knew he could do anything. In fact, only his best friend, Rosie, knew, and nobody took any notice of anything Rosie said because she was always having wild ideas anyway. One day, for example, Rosie said to Nicobobinus, "Let's pull up every single witch on your doorstep." "Let's not," said Nicobobinus, which is what Rosie thought he would say. "In that case," replied Rosie, "let's discover the land of dragons." "Don't be daft," said Nicobobinus. "How can we do that?" "Because you can do anything," said Rosie. So the next morning, just as it was getting light, Rosie threw little pebble up at Nicobobinus' shutters. Nicobobinus was still half asleep when he looked out. "What's the matter, Rosie?" he asked. "Shh," whispered Rosie. "I have got the buns and the lemonade." "What for?" asked Nicobobinus. "Supplies for the road," whispered Rosie. "Where are we going?" asked Nicobobinus. "We are going to find the land of dragons," whispered Rosie. "Don't you remember?" "Oh, I thought you might have forgotten about that," said Nicobobinus. "No fear," said Rosie. "It's one of the best ideas I have ever had." "What about the wedding?" said Nicobobinus. "Come on," said Rosie. So they set off through the early morning town. When they got to the end of the narrow street where they lived, they met a night watchman who said, "Where are you two going at this hour?" "We are going to look for the land of dragons," said Nicobobinus. "You can't do that at this time of the morning," said the night watchman. But before he could grab them, Rosie and Nicobobinus were sprinting away as fast as they could. And they didn't stop running until they had crossed 3 bridges and tripped over a dog that was lying asleep under a garden wall. Rosie's bottle of lemonade smashed against the wall, and the dog leaped to its feet, barking as if it had thought dogs' doomsday had arrived. For a moment they were sure it was going to bite them, but then it noticed the 2 buns that had rolled into the gutter, and it wolfed them down, barked "Thank you," and ran off to tell its friends. "We are not going to get far without supplies," said Rosie glumly. "I wonder if I could pick a few of those," said Nicobobinus, gazing up at an apple tree on the other side of the garden wall. "Of course you can," said Rosie. "Stand on my shoulders." So Nicobobinus stood on Rosie's shoulders and climbed onto the wall, but the tree was further away than he thought, and as he reached out, he lost his balance and fell with a crash down into the most magnificent garden he had ever been in. Nicobobinus looked back up at the night wall, but there was no way he could climb back. "What am I going to do?" he yelled. You'll think of something, Rosie yelled back, crossing her fingers very hard. Oh, said a voice behind Nicobobinus. Nicobobinus didn't stop to look who it was. He ran straight into a tree. Got you, said the voice, and Nicobobinus felt 5 thick fingers on his neck. Ow, said Nicobobinus. I have been waiting for you, said the voice, and Nicobobinus felt 5 more thick fingers around his wrist. But Nicobobinus, instead of trying to run away, doubled himself up and went backwards as fast as he could. So the man's legs were knocked from under him and he landed in a pile of leaves. Are you all right? Called Rosie, but she didn't hear any reply except for the man who growled, Just you wait, both of you. Oh dear, said Rosie, sounds like trouble. And she was right. तो आज हमने की है चैप्टर नंबर 1, जो कि इसका फर्स्ट पार्ट है। आज हमने उसकी सिर्फ रीडिंग की है। कल हम चैप्टर नंबर 2 की रीडिंग करेंगे और देन हम इसकी एक्सरसाइज करेंगे। तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।